Your brother Jihad Hassan Muhammad with the Dallas Weekly. We got my man Ice T right here. What's going on, Ice?
Oh man, out on the road promoting the film, and just happy to be talking to you.
All right, yes, sir. This is a legend right here. Broadcasting live. Everybody from in the Dallas Weekly in them streets, has been following hip hop since its inception. You know this man right here, who is a godfather in hip hop, definitely of West Coast hip hop as well. Mr. Six in the Morning, Ron Pays, everything, you know what I'm saying? Mind Over Matter, which is one of my favorites. This is your man Ice-T here. Now, in doing this movie, The Art of Rap, what was the pivotal moment that you looked at it with hip-hop, or as some would call it, rap music, that you had to do this film?
I wanted to direct film Barcelona. That's part of my plan. I wanted to see these down the road, And I was watching hip-hop as a whole. I'm looking at television. I watched the Weatherman rap. Everybody's rapping. I'm like, do people really know where this comes from? Do they really appreciate it as an art form and a culture? So I said, you know what, I'm going to make a film. So I called all my friends in hip-hop. I said, look, I just want to talk to y'all about it, but I don't want to talk about money, cars, girls, jewelry, beef. Let's talk about the craft and how you write rhymes. And they like, well, no one usually asks us those questions. So we did the film. We took it to Sundance Film Festival, which is a very prestigious film festival.
Definitely.
They received well, and the next thing you know, we're in the theaters now at select theaters, and it's an important film. I'm real happy.
All right, definitely. Now, knowing your history, a man who was born on the East Coast, is that correct?
Yes, it was New Jersey.
Definitely, and moved over to the West Coast, and having that aspect of the origin of hip hop since you were there. The Africa Bambaataa, the Zulu Nation, the DJ, the Kool Herc, and things of that nature, the actual elements of hip hop. How much of that do you feel has been lost throughout this journey in hip hop, and now what we call rap music, and all the way down to what's being played on the radio?
A lot of it, I've actually been on Law and Order now for almost 13 years. So if you take a kid that's 18 and ask him about Ice-T, I went on Law and Order when he was 5, so they don't really have a reference point. And it's not their fault. Very few people know all the steps hip hop went through. Starting, like you said, in South Bronx, people like the Cold Crush Brothers, and then branching into records with Run, and just that movement it did across the states. Like, people ask me, even with the film, I remember when people first rapping, the Ghetto Boys were the first group that was happening simultaneously with the first movement. Then came Luke, who broke big in Florida, and then Master P's movement. Those are the 3 people that really did rose the South.
Right. Now, as we look at the South, from what I'm hearing, and you can, definitely go in on that, because it's about getting the truth. And I know we all know what Ice-T, we gonna get it raw, not just we gonna get the truth. From what I understand, you reached out to Ludacris, and some people are saying that the South is misrepresented in the film, things of that nature. I know Ludacris is a person that you reached out to, excellent rhyme architect, and things of that nature. Just can you speak on that a little bit, and the South's important?
I think the South is not represented in the film. It's not a diss or anything. It's just that, I started shooting it in New York, and I had so many New York artists. I had to get out of New York. I was like, damn, man, I'm a dish. And I was there to meet people that I knew. So all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, we knocked out Eminem, and then I moved to LA, and I started shooting my LA people. Of course, I had to meet them, but I wasn't able really to reach into the South because
you mentioned, I mean, because this is a major event in filmmaking. You know, we have not seen anything like this in this era as far as hip hop is concerned. You're saying you know, when we look at everything, we see the Eminems, we see the Kanye West, we see, you know, those major people, Dr. Dre. I mean, that's massive. Talk about, you know, the biggest moment and locking down your scheduling, and the person that you just knew, or the people that you just knew had to be in the film, to the architecture of rhymes, rhyme sayers, MCs, and things of that nature.
My thing was to try to get everybody represented, every style. So you have the Immortal Techniques, the Chino XLs, you have, you know, the Q-tip with the native tongue vibe, you know, so we were trying to just get, like, I tell people, you may not see your favorite rapper, but you'll see your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Right.
You know? So, I had to get them. I think the hardest person was basically, we wanted to film Eminem in Detroit.
Right.
And, you know, we had to get the helicopters and everything out, and then, you know, getting him in one place. He doesn't do interviews regularly.
That's right.
So there's a fair shortage of footage, but that's my dude. You know, I know him from riding the buses back in the Warped Tour when he first started. So getting him, a camera crew from London, and myself in the same place, it was a little bit difficult, but it was never anybody saying no.
How the f*** he got an Oscar? Passed out in his red Mazda with his head in his pasta in the parking lot of Kmart Plaza across from the Red Lobster, looking like the Loch Ness Monster, dressed like a cross-dressed mobster. Talk is cheap, it costs less to gossip. I'd probably be a lot less hostile if you snots kept your snozzers out the air holes or get f***ed in all 7 holes. Mouth, yeah, both ears, and ha, yes, nostrils. At the Ozfest with Nas, bumping dots effects and erect up dots and then drop 2 extra strength watts and Vicodin out my pocket. They cost less, I'm a hot mess cause I tripped and got my head stuck in a wasp nest in the process, awesome.
It's just the logistics of it.
Right, definitely. Now, for the next generation, the generation that we have now, that, you know, don't, as you say, and as it's commonly known throughout hip hop, don't understand the architecture of an MC, and might think that, you know, they look at their favorite rappers, you know, not to mention any names per se, but they just may not have lyrical skill. And this is something that you definitely touch the bases on in the film. Who in the film, or just the overall aspect of the film, do you think that it gets that point across to those who may not be lyrically astute yet, to up their game?
I just think everything makes you want to up your game. You know, when you see Grandmaster Caz writing in perfect penmanship, or you hear Eminem talking about the craft, or you hear Dr. Dre say he's been working on it 27 years and hasn't been out of the studio for two weeks. I think that hip hop now is something that's moving, and people they'll look at Hot Boys and they'll say, oh wow, they got a lot of money, I want to get in it. But they don't realize that those guys have been putting their work in for years. You feel me? They've been busting their ass, and it's not an overnight thing. So all I want them to do is just appreciate it. It's a art form that was born by kids. It's now a global thing, and it should be respected. It's just not something you jump on and you play with.
That's right.
Like Big Daddy Kane says, anybody can be a rapper. You can, I'm Cat with Hat, you're a rapper, but to be part of hip hop, you should respect it as a culture.
That's right. Definitely. That. So all the those who want to rap out there, and let's look at the BNMCs out there. You're hearing it first from your man Ice-T, director extraordinaire, the art of rap. Now let's look at the aspect that you talk about, from nothing to something. You know, born and bred in the ghettos, if you will, and now a major art form globally. As Chuck D would call hip-hop the black CNN. Can you just touch on that a little bit, and how hip-hop has enhanced race relations and just, you know, getting the language across to everybody?
Well, it's easy to say you don't like somebody when you don't know them. But once you finally get a chance to know them and hear what's going on in their head, you tend to more or less will understand their plight. You'll understand what's going on. And with rap, you couldn't pick a better vehicle because it allowed L.A. to tell, New York what we were like. It allowed, Rap a Lot to tell the people what Texas is like. We listening to everybody. We're like, okay, it's a little bit different. And, white kids really loved it. And, I've made the statement, I think Obama wouldn't be in the presidency if hip-hop hadn't broken down a lot of the racial barriers,
That's right.
20 years ago that allowed...
Let's look at the aspect of the soundtrack. From what I am hearing, the Immortal Technique, New Jack Hustler piece, how did this come about?
Well, one of the things that rappers do, it's just a natural thing, is when you see somebody, you'll start saying they rhymes. It's like the ultimate greeting.
Right.
So when I walked up to Immortal Technique and we rolled camera, all of a sudden he started spitting my rhyme. Snoop did it too, So it's kind of like a way of saying I love your work, and it's an ultimate compliment. I didn't ask them to say my rhyme. They just decided to go off on it, so it was fun.
Right, definitely. And the soundtrack is in stores now. The Art of Rap, go see it now. Just came out June 15th. Are we thinking Oscar buzz, Ice-T? I mean, are we thinking that the hip hop has took over the Oscars before? We see 3 6 Mafia getting their Oscar, with it's hard out there for a pimp and everything, and Eminem with 8 Mile with some of the work. I mean, is it possible? Are we looking at that?
I won't say it's impossible, because if those two people were actually able to get one, that means there's people in the Oscars or in the Academy that have a love for the music.
Right.
So, who knows? I mean, we meet the qualifications for the Oscar nod because you have to open in New York and L.A., so we did that. But, you just have to wait and see. It's like no matter how much I'd like it, I can't get it on my own. It has to be voted in. But it would be fly because, like I say, this movie ain't about me. It's about all of hip-hop. And whether your city or your rapper was represented, it's still about the movement. If you see the film, you'll be like, I get it. There's no dissing whatsoever in this movie. This is about love for the art form as a whole.
Definitely.
And I think as people appreciate this film, they'll appreciate everything that's happening everywhere.
Definitely. Now, it's kind of hard to say, but this is a question that has to be asked because, in hip hop, the movement, the consciousness, the race relations, everything that has happened, then we also have the tragedy. If Biggie and Pac were in the movie, what would you think the reflection would be, and how would it, how would everything be elaborated with those two? Of course, we know that hasn't happened. But
those would have been two of the greats, and they definitely would have been in the movie because I knew both of them.
Right.
See, so when you're doing a movie like this, you got to be able to call somebody directly on their phone and be like, look, man, I'm doing a movie. I need to talk to you for an hour. And they like, you got that. I couldn't go through agents and all that. I had to get the artists on the phone. So I knew Big. I knew Pac well. Pac was like a really good friend of mine. So it would have been incredible to hear them. But Dre speaks on Pac in the film.
Right.
And we actually had a Biggie Small track in the movie, but due to litigations, we couldn't clear it to some people. It's just, there's a lot of difficulties doing this kind of movie with all the clearances and all the legalities behind all the music you hear. So some people were being difficult, and that's no distant Big. It was just somebody else that had control, and you just couldn't use the song. But they're there in spirit. It would have been wonderful to have them, but they're some of the greatest that ever did it.
Right, definitely. Now, as we look at the, going back to the roots of hip hop culture and the ghettos across America and things of that nature, we have a situation that, that has been very prevalent in the history of Ice-T's rhymes, which have told the story of our lives in the ghetto, and a lot of people, everybody pretty much up in the movie, Public Enemy, a various amount of people, with the senseless violence that we see in our cities, and the community bringing about, and the film bringing about a sense of community of hip hop and its power. What do you think hip hop can do now to enhance these youth, to say, you know, as the Zulu Nation did in 1973 with the Black Spades, or before they became the Zulu Nation? Let's just take it, you know, to the parks and do this, and with the break dancing and end some of the bloodshed. What's your take on that?
Well, basically what Zulu Nation did was reverse gangbanging. What they did was they said, look, it's kind of like when we had the troops in L.A.
Right.
Kind of like a bunch of powerful brothers band together and say, look, check this out. This ain't happening in our community no more. We gon' turn, you know, this banging against the people that want to be negative. So, you know, like Zulu's motto was, you come in peace or you leave in peace. You dig? So it's kind of like you got to use the same energy that is used for the violence for the peace.
Right.
It just takes a bunch of cats to stand up for a certain project and say, this is a safe project. Period. Don't come around here with none of that other drama, you know. And we have to mend the cities from the inside. Now that could be considered an impossible task, you know. But that's really the only way. The cops ain't gonna do it. You know, nobody can do it. The
That's
rappers
right.
can't do it. It's just gonna take different people in different areas, different communities, just to say we've had enough, and we gonna change the vibe of our neighborhood.
Definitely. Now, just to I guess, another variation of that question, as we move toward a lot of aspects of social change. You mentioned President Obama, you know, becoming president, which is definitely a fact. He is, you know, the hip hop president, so to speak. You know, the truce, as we near the 17th anniversary of the Million Man March. Where is hip hop in enhancing these things or getting these messages out?
Well, right now, hip hop's not really doing it. You know, hip hop's kind of got sucked into what I call a pop vortex. There's so many rappers. In order to be heard, you have to do radio records, and radio doesn't really want you talking about nothing. So now you've diluted everything down to party records and, you know, just, you know, crazy records, which I'm cool with too. I dance off
Right.
like anybody else. But the cats that really have something to say, you know, there's no place, there's no plaque for them to step away and make these statements. I don't think it can stay pop for long. I think it has to get conscious eventually. You know, it has to speak on something. Some people have to step out. I remember when Kanye West said that Bush doesn't care about black people. People were like overwhelmed, like, oh my God, did he say that? I'm like, you must have never heard of Public Enemy out.
Right.
You know?
Paris,
You know,
any of that, yeah,
it's
definitely.
so unusual to hear. I think Jay-Z just said something about gay marriage. People are just so blown away when people make a social comment. It's just unheard of today. People just don't do it anymore.
Right. Well, that's why this film is so big as well. The Art of Rap. You have to go see it. It's out right now. Let's make it number one. Hip hop telling its story the way hip hop should be told. You have Ice-T here. What is the last thing that, you know, as you spend this time here with the Dallas Weekly in them streets, that you want the people to know out there, Ice?
I mean, I just want them to know that, you know, if they really had any love or follow me, you got to really track the movement. You know, I'm a kid who was in the streets. I was homeless. I went through all the drama they went through, the gang banging, the drug dealing, everything. And, you know, as opportunities came, I took them. I'm not really a rapper. I taught myself how to rap. And, you know, when I got a chance to act, I did that. Now I'm getting a chance to direct. And I'm not special, man. I just have a work ethic of a hustler. And I made a decision early that I wasn't going to go to the penitentiary. You know, I took notes from a lot of my cats, Freeway Rick, you know, cats like Big Meech, all these cats that, you know, were in the streets, but now, you know, they're incarcerated. When they finally get to jail, they say, "Hey, man, don't come here, man. Make something out of your life. Don't take those risks," because they locking cats away and they not ever let them out. You can do a lot more out here on the street. So, you know, you can do anything I've done. I'm not special. You can do it. You just have to just, you know, get your head in the right place and take advantage of the opportunities and work to be the best of whatever you want to be.
Definitely. Also out there, you know, follow Follow our man Ice-T, Law and Order. SVU is the illest. The storylines be the illest. Y'all know what it is. You know, so y'all need to tune in for that as well.
Well, if they haven't seen the movie or the trailer, they can go to theartofrap.com. You can see the trailer. You can see the cast. And or just follow me on Twitter at Final Level. I'm talking crazy every day.
All right, definitely. And for those who haven't seen it, it's huge. Snoop, Kanye, Eminem, Dre, Ice Cube. Of course, you have Ice-T. I mean, Immortal Technique. I mean, you got Big Daddy Kane. You got Nas. I mean, it's just salt. You know, it's just so ill. So you just got to go out there and peep it out. And it is what it is. We appreciate you, Ice-T, spending this time with us.
Thank you for having me, baby. I'll talk to you later.
I didn't write my raps down for my first 4 albums. Like I just did it from the head straight to the booth. But on this last album, on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I wrote it because I really put myself in a zone that I felt like my life was dependent on the success of this album. You know, and with that being the case, I said, you know what? No matter what anybody says about me, they won't. I can write something that can make someone that hates me the most have to really respect or love the song.
It didn't start out as a popular culture movement. It didn't even have pop culture ambitions.
We're not supposed to be thinking like this. We're not supposed to be talking like this.
We created something from nothing.
We wanted to hit everybody across the head with a sledgehammer, like, listen to what we're doing out here.
There has to be a method for the madness.
I don't like looking at you. Fix your pants, fix your hat. What are you doing invading my home? Why are my kids liking your music? What's going on?
Back in the days, we used to call it the dozens. Slaves would start saying, your head's bigger than your neck, and that makes you a lollipop. Ah!
It's a folk art. It's folk music.
We took the record player and turned it into an instrument.
Here's this world, you know, that you may not know about. And the people who lived in that world from the other side of the tracks gave them a voice.
Hip-hop didn't invent anything. Hip-hop reinvented everything. Lyrics is what rap is all about. Rhymes that paint pictures for people.
This is some of my purpose. This is my perspective.
Say something with some dignity behind that rhyme.
I mean, you can consider Dr. Seuss a rapper.
They think you're just talking over a record.
It's Q-Tip's voice, it's Snoop's swag and personality.
What's your style?
My style, I would say, is Taekwondo.
There you go.
Hip-hop is a masterpiece, but nobody painted it all.
When you talk about hip-hop, we talking about the whole movement.
Let me tell you something. Hip-hop. So it's time to leave you a preview so you two can review what we do.
You physically make yourself hungry.
That's just the way I do.
I'm a little bit tough in the studio, but everybody's happy once they come out of the booth.
I don't have no business wearing saggy jeans.
You don't want to get rich and die trying.
I act like the mic cut off. Yo, this mic cut off.
Get them suckers off the stage. They whack.
Thank you for letting us be ourselves.
Rap is not pop. If you call it that, then stop.
I'm not BET or MTV. I'm HIPHOP.
Freestyle.
Homie, you see the camera right there? Keep it moving, pivot. All right, love is love.